I'm Stephen Prendergast, the author of The Sword of Degez and The Cult of Tufrak, and the host of the 2026 San Diego Wine and Book Fest at Trevi Hills Winery in Lakeside on March 7th. And today I'm joined by one of our participating authors, Sherri Kukla. Sherri is an author of mysteries and of true life crime. She has a middle grade series called Moto Mysteries that follows some dirt bike riding kids. And she has Dry Brook, which is a faith-based mystery series for adults. And then her newest book is the historical true crime book, Riders on the Storm. Sherri, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to the event in March.
So tell us a little bit about your books, how you got started on a couple of these. I'm especially interested in Riders on the Storm.
Thank you. This was my first adventure into true crime. It's historical true crime. And the way it came about was listening to the oldies rock song by The Doors, Riders on the Storm. I was curious what was the story, if there was a story behind the lyrics of that song. And I discovered that there was. And so then when I shared that with my grandson and with my husband, my grandson was urging me to write a book about it. Well, I had never done true crime. I usually do the murder mysteries for the adults and then the adventure type mysteries for the middle grade. And so I gave it some thought. I did a little more research into it and decided, yes, I think I would tackle that. And it was quite a project.
I can imagine. What was one of the most interesting facts that you learned in the process of researching the book?
I would say not necessarily the researching. This came after I finished writing the book. This is what startled me the most. I reached out to the granddaughter of one of the detectives who was key in this story. He was a part of finding some of the bodies that had been missing. And this is 75 years ago this happened. This was still difficult for this girl to talk about. She wasn't even born when it happened, but she was raised by her grandparents because her mother had died when she was 10. And she told me that this story haunted her grandfather till his dying day, remembering finding the bodies and doing the research of the story. And that stunned me. I actually had reached out to her hoping that she would read the book and give me a positive review on it to use for promo. She couldn't even finish reading it.
Oh, wow.
I marked the chapters that her grandparents were mentioned in, and she was willing to read those to check for accuracy and make any suggestions of changes I might make to better represent them. But she said overall she could not read the book. And I never thought I would encounter something like that 75 years after a crime, someone still hurting because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So switching gears, tell us a little bit about Moto Mysteries.
I got started writing Moto Mysteries. I got the idea when my sons were young, and I tried to get them to read regularly fiction, and they were interested, specifically my youngest son, very interested in riding motorcycles. I couldn't find any fiction that really had motorcycles in it. And then the few that I did find, they didn't accurately depict the dirt bike riding. Mm-hmm. And so I just always had this dream that I'm going to write a series someday that has the main characters are going to be motorcycle riders. And so I've always gravitated toward reading mysteries myself. So of course it was going to be a mystery. And it was in my mind. I knew I wanted to call the series Moto Mysteries years before I started writing it. And it was just a lot of years that lived in my head before I actually got it down on paper and turned it into a story.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. So this will be your first time at our Wine and Book Fest. What are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to connecting with readers from the San Diego community to discuss Riders on the Storm with them because this crime covered 6,000 miles and two different countries, but San Diego was a part of this crime. And I find that people are interested when they're realizing this happened, parts of this story happened in my own backyard. And I just think it would be interesting to be able to talk face to face with people about that.
That sounds so interesting. Well, great. Well, I'm glad that you're going to be able to join us this year and hopefully many, many years in the future. Anyway, thank you for joining us. And once again, I'm Stephen Prendergast with Sherri Kukla, author of Moto Mysteries, Dry Brook, and Riders of the Storm. And we'll be at the 2026 San Diego Wine and Book Fest at Trevi Hills Winery in Lakeside on March the 7th from noon until 4 o'clock. Hope to see a lot of folks out there. And again, Sherri, thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we'll see you all later.
San Diego Wine and Book Fest, March 7th from noon till 4 at Trevi Hills Wine.